Guess what? Identity ain't lineage. Nationality ain't lineage. Historical contribution ain't lineage. Culture ain't lineage. Belonging ain't lineage. Legal status ain't lineage either. Nobody's arguing with your identity as black. Nobody's arguing with your identity as American. Nobody is ever saying black Americans cannot claim the history, culture, struggle, language, creativity, survival, and contribution of black Americans. Let's keep this shit straight. Black American identity exists. Black American history exists. Black American culture exists. Black American contribution exists. That ain't the issue. The issue is lineage. The problem ain't disagreement. The problem is collapsed comprehension. If you can say out your mouth, we were the original cowboys and Indians, based on what? If you can say out your mouth, we were the original Indians. We were already here. Based on what? Because original is the claim, not presence. Presence ain't the dispute. Black people have moved, migrated, mixed, adapted, and existed across this world. That ain't the dispute. The dispute is you claiming to be original to this land before indigenous peoples. Based on what? Are you talking about human origin history? Are you talking about migration out of Africa? Are you talking about modern history? Are you talking about family history? Are you talking about community, nation, historical contribution, legal status? Because those ain't the same thing. You do not get to collapse deep human origin history into modern indigenous continuity. You don't get to collapse migration into tribe. You don't get to collapse presence into origin. You don't get to collapse family stories into nationhood. You don't get to collapse identity into lineage. Naming Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, Mississippi, Alabama, California, or any state with indigenous history doesn't identify your lineage. Living in a state does not make every native nation in that region your tribe. Standing on land doesn't make the land your ancestry, and having a story in your family doesn't give you permission to displace indigenous peoples. The categories collapse before the words get out your mouth. That's why the logic don't hold. Then there's the legal leap. History becomes personal lineage. Personal lineage becomes tribal status. Tribal status becomes lawful rights. Lawful rights become a link in somebody's bio. No. You want inheritance without relationship. You want rights without responsibility. You want status without accountability. You want sovereignty without continuity. Based on what? That ain't relationship to a people. That is extraction from a people. That ain't accountability to reality. That ain't documentation. That is legal language being used to cover a category collapse. That ain't lineage. That ain't science. That ain't anthropology. That ain't archaeology. That ain't tribal citizenship. That ain't sovereignty. That is collapsed comprehension dressed up as legal status. If you're part of a tribal nation, this ain't about you. If you have documented indigenous ancestry, this ain't about you. If you are preserving distinctions, this ain't about you. If you are using ancestry, family stories, legal language, or status correction to displace indigenous peoples, then yeah, this is absolutely all about you, because that ain't lineage. That is dominance and supremacy. Separating people, destabilizing people, displacing indigenous people, standing 10 toes down in dominance and supremacy, and then turning around asking why you feel separate. You created that separation. Science didn't create that separation. Lineage did not create that separation. Anthropology did not create that separation. Archaeology did not create that separation. You created it by collapsing categories and then detaching from the responsibility of the instability you created. No, you don't get to create separation, participate in separation, amplify separation, and then act confused about why the separation exists. That is collapsed comprehension. Who told Europeans they were the chosen people? They told themselves. Who told you you were indigenous? Based on what? Uncertainty doesn't become evidence. Identity doesn't become lineage. Historical contribution doesn't become ancestry. Need doesn't become indigenous continuity, and legal language doesn't become true just because somebody put sovereignty on it. You're shitting on strides of scholarship. I don't know who y'all think y'all are. Generations of human beings have observed, questioned, corrected, refined, expanded, built upon what came before them. Reality demanded it. Your discomfort don't erase it. Your uncertainty doesn't replace it. Your interpretation doesn't outrank it. Your legal language doesn't outrank it either. And y'all got to stop absorbing that stress. Some of y'all are carrying the confusion from somebody else's fishbowl. Leave that fishbowl alone. You ain't got to keep swimming in that fishbowl arguing. They see us. They don't know we see them in their fishbowl. Leave it alone. And when that fishbowl comes across your feed, not interested, change your feed. Stop feeding your ocean with somebody else's fishbowl. The ocean already requires enough diligence. We're already navigating people carrying inherited interpretations. Some are preserving distinctions while sorting through what they inherited. Some are shedding inherited interpretations. That's part of being human. If a fish drifts into the ocean willing to preserve distinctions, have the conversation. If not, send it on its way back to its fishbowl. Keep swimming. Don't absorb the stress. Let me show you how easy it is to preserve that distinction when identity ain't organizing the conversation. A man raises a child from birth, changes diapers, loses sleep, teaches, protects, loves that child. A paternity test identifies another man as the biological father. Nobody says the relationship was not real. Nobody says the love disappeared. Nobody says history stopped existing. The relationship remained real. The lineage became clear. One never canceled the other. Y'all preserve that distinction every single day. So why does it disappear the moment the conversation turns to ancestry? That's collapsed comprehension. I love being Black. I love being a Black woman. I am Black American culture. I am Black American history. I am part of human history because I am human. None of that requires another people's ancestry. None of that requires another people's history. None of that requires identity to become lineage. None of that requires legal language to become reality. Ain't no lies here. I don't need to feel comfortable to be truthful, to have balance, peace, harmony, reciprocity, truth, order, justice. Those qualities do not emerge because we replace one fishbowl with another. They emerge when we stop organizing ourselves through inherited interpretations. They emerge when we preserve distinctions instead of collapsing them. Lineage is the example. Collapsed comprehension is the issue. Preserving distinctions is the correction. Leave that fishbowl alone. Keep swimming.